What's up guys, Blackberry here, and as promised I am bringing you my Sindel guide. This guide should be useful to both players that are looking to get into Sindel, so beginners, and players that are already playing her, because this is very in-depth, so I hope that by the end of this video you will be able to use what I've taught you and apply it to better yourself as a Sindel player. So Sindel. General strengths and weaknesses. For her strengths, she has strong mids, she's a good anti-zoner, strong crushing blow game, she dominates at the mid-range, and has a very strong anti-air, which is rare in Mortal Kombat 11. For her cons, she's overall slower compared to the rest of the cast, slower down 1, slower normals in general. She has a weak base moveset, so she's heavily relied on customs. And she's weak against stronger zoners than herself, for example, Cetrion, Jade, Raiden, Shang, etc. Alright, so on your screen, you're going to see the button notation that is used in Mortal Kombat, so there's no confusion and we're all on the same page. So front punch is 1, back punch is 2, front kick is 3, and back kick is 4. Alright, so we're going to jump into Sindel's best buttons. Stand 1. This is her fastest punish at 7 frames, and it also has a string follow-up that can be staggered, and it can also situationally be used as an anti-air. Stand 2. This will be your second fastest punish, and also your go-to for moves that are unsafe, but with slight pushback that would cause your stand 1 to whiff. For example, Shao Kahn's shoulder rush. Down 1, it's 8 frames, so it's slower than average, but you're plus 14 on hit, and you can also anti-air cross-up situationally. Down 3, a safe low with decent range, that leaves you plus 14 on hit. Great move to check forward advancing movement. Down 4. Also safe and a low. Has more advantage on hit at plus 19 but with less range. It is, however, in my opinion, one of the best anti-airs in the game, and this should be your go-to button when someone is jumping at you, and even crossing you up. When you find a character or a situation where it doesn't seem to work, just adjust your timing and the results may surprise you. Down 2. It's comparable to Jade's down 2 since it has a lot of range, however it isn't as fast, so it's not as good for an anti-air. What makes it really good though is how easy it is to punish with, and it's very mashable since it has a lot of range with a lot of pushback on block. Back 2. A fast low at 13 frames, launches for a combo and has a lot of pushback, so most characters cannot punish you unless you're in the corner. Forward 4. 14 frame mid that has a follow-up attack. Has a lot of range, is multi-hitting so it can be confirmed into a combo, and it is safe from flawless box. Definitely her best button overall. Stand 4. A multi-hitting move that starts high and quickly goes into an overhead and knocks down. Great for conditioning your opponent and is safe with low risk. Forward 2. Overhead with strings that you confirm into. I'll go over this move more when we get into her screen mechanic. Next we're going to get into Sindel's base moves. These are the moves that Sindel starts with before you start customizing her. She has Scream, a mid-hitting physical attack that has a crushing blow attached when it hits as a counter hit or punish. It can also be amplified to cover a large portion of the screen, and when held to the point where she has a purple aura, causes the opponent to be staggered for a confirm or combo. This will also restand the opponent out of the air. Main Squeeze, mainly a combo ender. However, it can be used to keep yourself safe at the end of strings. Keep in mind, it is a high, so if your opponent reads it, it can leave Sindel open for a punish. Regal Presence, Sindel's float ability, can be used on the ground or in the air, and can be cancelled into from air normals. Now we're going to get into Sindel's best strings. 1-1, a great stagger string that you can easily confirm from. 1-1-2, only -3 with a lot of pushback. However, it does have a flawless block gap and trades with 6 frame down 1s. However, this trade is in her favor. 2-3, 2-3-4, back 3-4-2. This string covers a good amount of distance. The second kick is a low, and it ends at a high that is +3. When the opponent is only hit by the end of the string, it turns into a KB. This string really opens up her stagger game. Back 3-4-4, unsafe. However, when combined with low star screamer, makes for a viable option since it ends in an overhead. 4-2-1, overhead starter that you can easily confirm into anything you want. 4-2-1 up 2, safe with pushback, but has a gap at the end that can be flawless blocked or interrupted by characters with a 6 frame down 1. The timing has to be super on point though, so I wouldn't worry as much and worry more about the flawless block option. Forward 4 up 3. This move needs no introduction. I'm sure if you've played against Sindel or with her, you already know what this move is. It's a huge part of her game plan. It's completely safe to like 98% of the cast, and she moves so far back after that you can potentially do it again, depending on what your opponent chooses to do. It's an essential part of her game plan and very strong. And on top of that, it's completely safe to flawless block, so in most situations, this is a low risk move to throw out. Alright, so now we're going to get into how to best customize your Sindel. I'm going to go over moves that I feel are essential and moves that are more situational. We're going to start with Low Star Screamer. This is her single most important move to me. I feel like it should be a part of her base moveset, but it's not, so this is number 1. It's a low projectile that, whether it's amplified or not, goes under high and mid projectiles, like Sub-Zero's amplified Ice Ball, Rain's amplified projectile, and Robocop's low Auto 9, to name a few. It's a ridiculous move, and I feel like it's needed in most situations. Whip and Flip. This move is always a threat because your opponent has to constantly look out for it in neutral, especially if they rely on air mobility or air specials. It's an overhead with 3 different ranges and can also be performed in the air. However, it only has 1 range while it's in the air. It has situational uses as a mix-up and has a crushing blow attached that triggers if it counters or punishes a low or ducking attack. For example, Rambo's projectile. Not considered a low, but it's considered ducking. Banshee Dash. Can only be performed in the air, however it gives Sindel great control of the horizontal and vertical space in front of her. It's a high so it can be ducked, however if it comes into contact with the opponent on hit in any way, grants her the ability to combo, if amplified. Banshee Barrage. Another air projectile that hits mid and ends low and launches if amplified. Not every character can punish this and can be a great way to close out a round for Chip. Okay, so now that we've talked about her moves that I feel like are essential for her kit, let's talk about moves that are more situational. These are still good moves, they just don't have as much overall utility in comparison to the previous moves listed. Haircut. A launcher that gives Sindel access to big damage, great for punishment and various different confirms, but since it's a 2-slot move can severely limit her overall kit. I would only use this in situations where you feel like you're not getting as much use out of the previous moves that I listed. Deadly Echo. Gives Sindel more air mobility and combo potential when combined with Banshee Dash. With all that being said, I'm now going to get into what I think is the best variation for Sindel. Based on what I've told you about each move, you could make your own custom based on how you feel you want to play her. However, this is the variation that is best for her overall, and to me covers most situations. This variation is a combination of her 3 original variations, which are Royal Edenian, Splitting Hairs, and Loud and Clear. And the moves included in this variation are Low Star Screamer, Air Banshee Dash, and Whip and Flip. At this point, we've covered just about every major aspect of the character, so now we're going to get into how you should play her in the match. Sindel is great at conditioning the opponent. Her buttons have superior range and a lot of priority that is tough for many characters to deal with. Because of this, she dominates in the long and mid-range. Because of the tools of the character, I feel like you can throw people a lot with her, which is very dangerous since she has a two-way throw crushing blow. Many people in this game love to neutral duck to attempt to look for an opening and steal their turn back, which can turn into a very advantageous and high damaging situation for them. I believe that Sindel is great at hampering that meta. Because of her forward 4, which is an amazing stagger and auto shimmy, and because the fact that it has a follow-up, it's easy for your opponent to second guess their options when defending against it. Once you have them trained with this move, and they actually start blocking, just throw them. It isn't just her forward 4 either. Her down 3, which has pretty decent range, allows her to jail into some of her best strings, like back 3 and forward 4. So this is a great way to open players up since it's easy to get a counter hit set up if they mash. This also applies to her down 4. Generally, once I've established to my opponent that they can't mash out of these situations, I set them up for throws. Remember when I said Sindel has a two-way throw crushing blow? It's a great option to fish for with her. Load up your escape failed on the opponent, and when you do, don't even try to go for the KB immediately. Just see how your opponent reacts to your stagger pressure, and I almost guarantee you'll rack up a lot more damage over time than just immediately going for the crushing blow. It's a great mind game to play around with. Let's go back to her down 4 and how ridiculous of a button this is. We already established that it's a great anti-air, but on block, this move is super underrated. It has a decent amount of pushback, so it's super easy to bait retaliation from the opponent. And if you feel like you have a good read on them, you could even try for your Scream KB. On the topic of the Scream KB, I wanted to say that this is her single most important resource in the match, so I would say that you should use it wisely. A lot of players like to just throw it out at any point in the match, but I would only use it ideally in a checkmate situation. So like in the last round. Because not only could you win the entire game off a Scream, but a competent player will be aware that you still have it and try to play around it, which will open up a lot more options for you since they'll have a degree of respect for the situation. Continuing on with the Scream, let's talk about her Scream cancels. Pressing back and block while holding your Scream will cancel the move at the cost of 1 defensive meter. You could use this in multiple ways. You could fake out a Scream into another Scream. You could fake out a Scream into a fireball. You could fake out the Scream into a string. Or you could just keep yourself safe and not do anything. Another aspect of this mechanic that some people may not realize is that if you Scream cancel fast enough, it changes the frame data on her moves. Notable examples of this are forward 2, which by default is -20, but if you Scream cancel it, can either be +1 or neutral depending on your range. Another great example is her standing 2, which is still good normally at -3, but becomes +2 from Scream cancel. So you can keep yourself safe in a lot of situations with the Scream cancel, and if you're really fast with it, you can even potentially throw them from it. Well, I think that's going to be it for this guide. There's a lot more I could have covered, but I didn't want this guide to be overloaded with information since this guide also does have beginners in mind. I plan on doing more guides with Sindel in the future, like in-depth character matchup guides, so I look forward to those eventually. Also, if you guys want to learn more, but in a one-on-one setting, I'm on Metafy, which is a coaching service where I have a variety of options to help you improve at the game. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this guide, and I'll see you guys in the next video.